Salute. Salute. The streets are buzzing. How's everyone doing? Ready for another Knicks season? A season full of ups, downs, and a lot of action. CT here to recap media day, preview training camp, talk about pre-season, all the takeaways from today. Salute to Knicks Nation. Salute to Replay Gang. Salute to the chat. The one, the only, best fan base in the biz. And man, lots to talk about. We're ready. We're ready here. We know you're ready. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. As media day is in the books now, we can look ahead. And a salute, buzzer beater, Fabian, Prometheus, that's a tap. Knicks Worldwide. We'll hear from Tom Thibodeau, our new Nick, Dante DiVincenzo, Brunson, Randall, Barrett, Quickly, and my takeaways from today, my preview, looking ahead to this preseason, what we can expect. We'll talk about the latest shake-up in the East. Man, a lot of things happening right now. The big losers in the East, the Heat, the Sixers, and I'll reveal my new power rankings from October 2nd, now that the dust is kind of settled. And we kind of know what the East looks like now. And we look ahead with our New York Knicks squad and my predictions for the season. And I will go through each player and what I want to see them get out of this training camp, guys. But yeah, for me, I'm kind of feeling pretty good still. Regardless of this latest shake-up in the East, I think this season was still about improvement, still about getting better, winning a lot of games, obviously, hopefully, and I expect the New York Knicks to still be in that third to fourth range in the East for most of the season. They can definitely compete with any team in the league on any night. The strengths of this team, it's going to be, chemistry. From the continuity, it's going to be depth and internal improvement. Obviously, a trade can happen, at any point in the season. And I think Leon Rose, obviously, the work's incomplete. This squad isn't yet ready to challenge for a title. But building upon the success of last season, this season's going to be huge. Huge to take another leap forward. And I do expect Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle to have a great year, put their name in, contention to be an all-star, all-NBA, hopefully. RJ Barrett, I think, will build upon, his playoffs, the success he had from last year, and the FIBA tournament in the off-season. Emmanuel Quickly gave some quotes today. We'll talk about what we can expect from him this season, moving ahead, his future with the Knicks, and his thoughts on an impending extension. Like I said, we'll hear from Dante, the newest Nick that we've welcomed in. He's going to be a big piece for us this season. He brings that skill set that this team needed, which is shooting, able to defend the perimeter, and of course, the friendship, the chemistry with the Villanova gang. He actually talked about it as well. But yeah, takeaways are, instant takeaways from today. Julius Randle talked about his health. He's been rehabbing, obviously, from the surgery. He's ready to go. He'll be ready. They might take it easy on him in the preseason. I can expect, which, might give some of these other guys more of an opportunity, which is good. Tom Thibodeau doubled down on his changes last season to the rotation, and talking about the success it bore from taking Evan Fournier out of the rotation. And, he mentioned the record after Fournier was taken out. He also mentioned he had respect for Evan Fournier as well. And it was nothing to do with anything personal, any beef or anything like that. It was purely from a winning perspective. So, Evan Fournier is still a part of this squad. Is Tibbs going to try to maybe, integrate him in a little bit more, sprinkle in some late minutes, late in games, who knows? But I can still expect Evan Fournier, to probably not see out this season with the Knicks on the expiring deal. And I think he'll probably get traded, at some point with that expiring salary. And talking about the new rotation as well, as the New York Knicks obviously have Dante DiVincenzo up in here, and he's a big factor as we bring up your 23-24 New York Knicks roster. Our first game on October 9, about a week away, and man, I'm juiced up. We take on the Boston Celtics, who have bolstered their squad big time. Man, we'll go through my power rankings in the East, but yeah, the Celtics and the Bucks are clearly in that first tier of the East right now, but it doesn't mean that other teams can't compete, right? Games need to be played. It's a fresh, brand new season, and I think the Knicks have the depth, ammo up their sleeve. Obviously, the Celtics are a little light in the big man department, trading Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, and getting that big point guard acquisition, Jrue Holiday. Great trade from the Portland Trailblazers, They turned Damian Lillard into an absolute haul. And of course, Damian Lillard, man, with now the big gun in the East, now Milwaukee, with Giannis and Dame. Salute Spree, salute Andrew. How you guys feeling? Another season ahead of New York Knicks basketball, and I'm absolutely hyped. And regardless of the outcomes, we love this club, we love this team, and we continue to ride along, through the ups and the downs, like I said. But we haven't had a squad this consistent in a minute, and that's what I appreciate most, as a Knick diehard. Obviously, this season, and as Tom Thibodeau mentioned, we'll hear from him in a minute, he mentioned the improvements that the other teams have made, no doubt. But the Knicks are going to rely on internal improvement this year to compete and to get better. The depth and the chemistry. And I think that can't be underplayed. We've seen a lot of revolving doors with this franchise, with coaches, with front office, with players. And finally, you may not have that shiny new toy, but we have something that we haven't had in a minute also, which is stability and consistency to continue to build upon. And if we're being real with ourselves, this probably wasn't going to be the year we're winning a championship anyways, right? So we'll see what happens. Anything can happen in this game, in this league, in this sport. But the most part, I feel good about our squad, our depth, and the ability to improve, guys, Also, other takeaways from around the league. James Harden did not report to media day. Not a huge surprise, but Joel Embiid gave some quotes as well, talking about how the off-season's been fun, but he looked far from happy. Masai Ujiri addressed the New York Knicks lawsuit. He clapped back at the New York Knicks in a big way, but to me it just made him look kind of silly. So we'll hear from Masai Ujiri. Like I said, we'll hear from Quickly, DiVincenzo, and everyone. How we feeling, guys? Spree says trade for Embiid. No doubt now that, a lot of the dominoes have fallen, and I'm glad you mentioned Embiid, because that's going to be a talking point from now on until Embiid's moved, or he doubles down and stays in Philly. But with that said, Philly have been the biggest loser with the Miami Heat, with this latest talk, and the moves, the shake-up in the East, and Joel Embiid and the Sixers, they're not set up to compete for the chip yet, in my opinion, right now. They lost out on Jrue Holiday, and man, that was a huge blow to their chances. I was just listening to the Zach Lowe podcast also. He did mention that New York Knicks poked around on the Jrue Holiday trade. So for anyone that's not quite sure, were the Knicks interested? How hard did they try? Zach Lowe did confirm on his latest pod that just dropped hours ago that the Knicks did poke around for that Holiday deal. They obviously talked about it. They looked at it. and they thought, look, the price is pretty steep. For whatever reason, they don't feel like he's going to put the Knicks over the top. But a guy like Joel Embiid has to be that next target that the Knicks will be closely watching. I think the Giannis thing is a bit now settled. The fact that they've got Dame, I think there's at least another year he's going to give that organization. But this year, I won't be surprised if Joel Embiid and something happens out there with Philly. But look, for now, the New York Knicks still do need to be consistent and improve internally. I'm looking at guys like Grimes, Barrett, Quickly, and Mitchell Robinson also to build upon their recent success, but to go to another level. And I think then this club can compete with the top of the East. Now, without further ado, my latest East Power rankings and the shake-up in the East. I think Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo are a hell of a duo, probably the best duo in the league right now. Deadly in the pick and roll, and really, really complement each other as well. Chris Middleton is that X factor too. That's the big three. Obviously, the Celtics are right there. It's a toss of a coin. I don't have the Bucks like clearly ahead of the Celtics, but I think it could go either way. I think the lack of depth at the big man spot now. Al Horford's 37. Kristaps Porzingis has quite a few health concerns as well. So I think the Bucks are solid all around. Brook Lopez at the big man spot. They got the guard spot settled now. And man, I think the Bucks are the team to beat right now. The Celtics right there. And then, lo and behold, the New York Knicks. I think we'll get off to a fast start. I think the consistency will help us. And I think, obviously, Tom Thibodeau, man, he's going to push for every single win. Now, Philly have slid, lost the depth. Harden, we don't know. I don't think he's even going to play another game in Philly. So that's going to be a huge blow. Embiid's going to be super frustrated with that. The Cleveland Cavaliers have a bit of consistency. They've added some extra depth at that wing spot. And of course, Jimmy Butler reported to Media Day. He said he's ready to win, but the Heat have lost depth. Let's keep that a buck. There's going to be more urgency with that franchise. I still think they're in an okay position. I'm not going to count out the Heat. They're going to get Tyler Hero back. They're going to get Kelly Oubre. They kept on to Caleb Martin. So they've got some good wings. They've got Jimmy. They've got Bam. We'll see. I think Coach Spoelstra is that X factor with the Miami Heat. But no doubt, they struggled in the regular season, and I think they're going to kind of struggle again. And they'll be around that 6th to 8th spot. And then you've obviously got the improvement of Indiana. Obi Toppin reported to Media Day, talking about a fresh start for him. We wish Obi all the best, but not too much because the Pacers are on the come up. Man, internal growth. And Rick Carlisle, they're trying to win right now. And then you got kind of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with Brooklyn and also Toronto. It's a toss of a coin with those teams. But I think Orlando are a team to watch. They're on the come up, ladies and gents. So, yeah, that's the East. That's how it looks right now. Not so scary for me because, yeah, there's the 2-horse race up top. But for me, and this will sort of be a theme heading into this pre-season for me, and the Knicks just need to continue winning, right? Don't worry about what's above us, what's below us. Just handle what we can handle. And like Tibbs talked about, internal improvement, right? Play well as a team, share the ball, defend well. And I think the Knicks will win a boatload of games this season. Another 45 to 50 win season will have us around that 3rd, 4th, 5th kind of slot and get back to the playoffs. That's the goal this season. Get to the playoffs, fight hard and go deep as possible, and let the chips fall where they may, right? Damian Lillard's getting older. Chris Middleton has those health concerns, like I said. We always want to look at, teams on paper and say, oh, they're the team to beat. But the games have to be played, and anything can happen over 82 games, playoffs, and you got to be in it to win it. Basically, every team has some chinks in their armor, especially Boston, like I talked about, trading Robert Williams and trading Malcolm Brogdon. Like buzzer beaters in the house, salute. Great year ahead coming up, buzzer, salute. Give us your thoughts. Appreciate you in the chat. Knicks Nation, the streets are buzzing. Brogdon is younger and has better stats than Jrue. Why was he traded? Look, it's a good question. Jrue Holiday, I think, has that reputation around the league for being a better two-way player. But I think mostly because of an injury concern. Malcolm Brogdon has kind of fallen off a little bit lately. He's not been the player he used to be. It's happened quickly, but in the last 12 months, fam, Malcolm Brogdon's game has slipped a little. But in talking about what Portland did, they pulled off a great trade, and they're going to get a good asset for when they trade Brogdon eventually as well, with Robert Williams also, fam. So, look, the Knicks poked around on Jrue Holiday. It wasn't the move to me. It wasn't the move to make right now. I'd rather keep RJ Barrett. I'd rather keep Quickly. I know it's frustrating because, I want the Knicks to improve, just like the Knicks fan. And I think Jrue Holiday would improve the team. But to the point where the move was justifiable and trading multiple first-round picks, to match that package that the Celtics did, that's a hell of a package, man. And I think Leon Rose definitely inquired, kicked the tires, but man, it just wasn't the move to make. So, speaking of new moves and new optimism, new hope, Tom Thibodeau was obviously spoke today, gave a lot of great quotes. We'll start with him. Firstly, his thoughts on Evan Fournier. What happened last year, Evan Fournier's discontent, all of that. Let's hear from Tibbs, fam.
Yeah, the thing is, and I have great respect for him. And, you come into the season, I didn't go into the season thinking we were going to do the things that we ended up doing. We did it because we weren't having success one way, so we adjusted. And then the next group that went in, it's hard to argue with 37 and 22 and a +5 net rating. So it is what it is, and then your job is to stay ready so whatever it is that we're asking you to do, go out there and do it, be part of the team, put the team first.
So, look, nothing surprising there. It wasn't a personal thing. We know Fournier's defense just wasn't it. Tom Thibodeau trusted Deuce McBride. It was the right move. Tibbs got a big tick for that. We don't win 47 games if he doesn't make that big switch up. And he played the player, not the contract. Evan Fournier, he made the decision. It's not part of the Knicks' future. But he's a good character guy. Evan Fournier, during the season, wasn't a discontent. But, this off-season, he has said a few things. But I expect him to come in professionally, sit on the bench, maybe, like I said earlier, get some mop-up duty, maybe, play a little bit in blowouts, back-to-backs, perhaps. But maybe not, but I do think he's going to get traded eventually. So what was interesting there, though, Tibbs mentioned the record. He's keeping tabs. He's keeping receipts for any critique. And not that he needs to. Everyone knew that the team is better, without Evan Fournier. But I'm glad that was addressed, ladies and gents. So, so what else? The next interesting thing was Tibbs was asked about Quentin Grimes, right? Is there plans on sticking with Q Dot as the starter for this season? Let's hear what he said.
Yeah, we'll see how it unfolds. The big thing, and we just, when you look at last season and you look at what that group did, from December 4th on, they were 37 and 22. And so you go in with, the idea that that's where we're going to start. Now, of course, you haven't played in any games and nothing is unfolded yet. So you base your decisions on the information that you have.
Yeah, like I said in a previous show, I think training camp, Tom Thibodeau, the veteran coach, he's always going to use training camp to settle his rotation. Now, Quentin Grimes has the head start. He's the guy he's going to start with, but it's not penciled in to me. There's a chance that it could change in preseason training camp. Tom Thibodeau's that guy that, he doesn't want to make changes in season unless he has to, like Evan Fournier situation. But while it's preseason and training camp, man, all bets are off. You've got to win your minutes. You've got to win your spot. So, but I expect Quentin Grimes to do that, and I expect Quentin Grimes to be the starting two. Next up, Tibbs was asked, about the new season, the changes in the East, all of that, the thoughts on this upcoming season.
Yeah, so I think it was a good summer. I think the big thing for us is, the continuity of the team, but also adding Dante, and then having the understanding that last year has nothing to do with this year. And so we have to start all over again. We have to build a base. We have to get a baseline. We have to put the work into each and every day. And we have to do this together. We can't do this individually. It has to be done as a team. Yeah, so I think it was...
Yeah, so look, nothing new there, as I mentioned, playing as a team. But the ability to switch things up when they're not working is what I'm really looking at with Tibbs. I don't expect much to change with Tibbs' offense. He loves the offensive rebounding, the opportunity to get second chance points, trust the pass, move the ball around, find the open man, reading and reacting. I think it worked in the regular season. Playoffs, another story. Defenses do double down. So I think that's where the ceiling lies with Tom Thibodeau and this team. There's no doubt, I don't think anybody could doubt Tom Thibodeau can pick up wins in the regular season. The playoffs is basically where, his legacy with the Knicks is going to be decided. I expect the Knicks to win, like I said, 45 to 50 wins. We got the depth, we got the squad to win those games. It's not really because of Tom Thibodeau. His schemes and X's and O's could be solid at times, fundamentally sound. And the offensive rebounding, the 3-point shots, the driving and kicking, that's simple offense. But Tom Thibodeau, to his credit, is always able to get the most out of a roster. So his level of dedication, his seriousness, the tough love that he sometimes coaches with, it works for him. In the regular season. Also, no load management. So that's what I'm looking for from Tibbs this season, is to utilize our depth more. Don't run guys into the ground. Play guys, lighter minutes in back-to-backs, and also I think he will do this, but he'll close the game out with the hot hand. Guys that are playing well, shooting well. I don't think he's going to be afraid, to upset anybody's ego. If it's a guy on the fringes, I think Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson will get that extra leeway, obviously because they're the veterans. But in terms of Barrett, Quickly, DiVincenzo, Grimes, Hart, I think that's all in flux, man. Yeah, 100% buzzer. 50 plus wins for the Knicks is very achievable, and we should be competing to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously a matchup dependent, but if we can fight and get that third seed, that's going to be huge. Getting that third seed, as we talked about, in my East rankings, right? Getting off to a fast start is going to be big. And I think our roster consistency and the chemistry will definitely help with that, fam. But in the bunched up East, it's going to be also a tight race. I think Philly, Cleveland, Miami are going to be thereabouts also in that kind of second tier. So you got Milwaukee, Boston in the first tier. Then you've got the Knicks, Philly, Cleveland, and Miami in that second tier. But I do have the Knicks at the top of that tier. And I think, we made an addition. I don't think that it should get lost in this off-season. It wasn't sexy. We didn't make a huge addition. But we brought everyone back, and we brought in a key rotation player in Dante DiVincenzo, fam. And on that note, let's hear from DiVincenzo and what he had to say, right? So let's get to DiVincenzo and on the main points as to why he chose, this situation. Why did Dante want to be a Knick?
Couple things. One, first and foremost, I'm 2 hours away from my family, and family's everything to me. So, adding on to that, Nova guys are an extension of my family, Jalen especially, but ultimately, it's, I like to win basketball games, and looking at the layout of where I was potentially going to land, I felt most comfortable coming here. Adding the family aspect and then adding just, what they've done last year, and how I can kind of plug in and, benefit from everybody around me, and to help this team just go further.
So, we also had heard since that DiVincenzo had options. He had Minnesota and Chicago interested. So that's what he talks about, when he's talking about a winning situation. So the family thing, it was closer to home, but also, you got to be in a winning situation as a free agent. He got the bag, he got the money he was looking for. So salute to Dante. Yet we heard a little bit about his role on this team. What does he see his role being on this team?
I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, that's not my focus. My focus is to win games, whether I'm starting, coming off the bench, playing 20, playing 40, doesn't matter. My focus is to win games. I signed a 4-year deal here, so I plan to be here long term. And, ultimately I plan to win a lot of games here with these guys, whether the lineup is starting lineup, closing lineup, whatever it is. I trust in Tibbs' decision making, and, we go from there.
Yeah, I like what he said there. I think the thing that gets lost a little bit is DiVincenzo has been in a lot of winning situations. So, he's going to come in here and understand what it takes to win, and buying into a role, whatever that is. This is a guy who played for Milwaukee, a winning team. He's been on the Golden State Warriors, and he's also won championships in college. So he gets it, He's going to finish games out confidently if he has to. He's going to come in, play 20 minutes if he needs to. And then obviously he's not going to pout because he's got Hart, he's got Brunson there, and those guys are attached at the hip, like we know. So, DiVincenzo acquisition, guys. Let us know in the chat, comment section, replay gang, salute. This is basically our major acquisition this year, and he slots into our rotation. A tight rotation already. And a team that won 47 games is adding DiVincenzo to the mix. We'll talk about the internal improvement from these other guys that I'm gonna be looking for. But like I said, DiVincenzo coming from winning situations. I don't think that can be underplayed. Fam, as JD's in the house, salute. We buzzing right now. Knicks season underway. Let's get it. So, while the other teams in the East have made some splashes, not huge splashes, but some fairly significant ones, I think the New York Knicks are still right there where they were, which is around that 3rd to 4th seed. And we can give trouble to any team on any day. DiVincenzo also wanted to make note about, all this fluff about the Villanova stuff. It means something to him, but it's all about business.
I think A big thing for us is like, not getting carried away with the Nova stuff. I think, we had a lot of success in college, and we've had some success in the NBA so far individually. But ultimately, I know Jalen, I know Josh, they're developing relationships with everybody on the team, as am I. And ultimately, there's jokes always throughout the year, throughout the season over Knicks and all that stuff. But ultimately, we know what our goal is, and we know how to get there. And I think that's the stuff that, we focus on.
Yeah, I'll stop it there, man. Exactly what you want to hear. Like I said, those guys know what it takes to win, right? They're friends on and off court, which is only going to help chemistry. But the fact is, those guys are all about business. They know what it takes to win a championship at college level. And I think, they're all in the kind of prime of their careers that all haven't won a chip in the NBA yet. So I think that's another positive spin where DiVincenzo is going to be hungry. In fact, I might be wrong. Maybe DiVincenzo was on that Bucks team. But obviously Hart and Brunson are still ready to win that ring as well. And, those guys are going to push each other, which is all about what this season is about. I think, as we're about to hear from quickly, what can't get lost is that these guys are going to provide competition. DiVincenzo coming in is going to, push for minutes. He's going to push RJ Barrett. He's going to push Quentin Grimes. He's going to push Emmanuel quickly as well. And if and when we do make that consolidation blockbuster trade, DiVincenzo just spoke about the 4 years signing here long term. Unless he's used as a piece in a trade, he's going to be here. He's planning to be here long term. And so, setting the foundation for this team. He's a huge piece to come off the bench. So yeah, quickly talking about the contract extension, Mr. IQ coming in to a big 4th year for IQ.
Honestly, I just been doing what I normally do, which is working hard every single day to get better. I let my agent pretty much handle all that stuff. But I've just been locked in on trying to get better, see what I can focus on to get better for this year. Helping myself and helping my team try to win games. So.
Are you hoping for an extension for the deadline?
Whatever happens,
Yeah.
because it's all up to my agent and the Knicks at that point. Like I said, I'm just worried about trying to get better each and every day, trying to reach my full potential and see how good I can get at this.
Yeah, he's hoping for that extension. That's a rhetorical question, but in terms of that, we just heard Devin Vassell sign the bag, a big extension with San Antonio, $140 million. Emmanuel quickly, I don't think he'll get that much, but I think they'll get an extension done. I don't see the Knicks pulling off any trade right now, and the New York Knicks should extend quickly. I think it's just a matter of dollars, and getting that deal done, and I think it will. He also spoke about Obi, his buddy, getting traded.
Obi getting traded, that's my guy. He got traded. It's a business, happens. We moving on with the team we have now. Obi's still my guy. I still text him, call him, stuff like that. So, Obi.
Yeah, man, Obi's got a fresh start. Wish him well. Salute KP in the chat. How we feeling? I'm ready for this Knicks season. Ready to go to war with this squad. And I think, we're going to push for a big seed in the East. And it's going to be a tight season. There's a lot of competition. Now, another huge takeaway from today is the return of Bully Barrett, right? How does he see his role this season, right? You guys let me know, and I'll give my take after his quotes. But I think he dropped a few dimes.
But if that were to be the case, comfortable, very comfortable in that role. So is Josh, of course. So I think whatever we kind of need to do to win is what we'll do, whatever the game, tells us to do. So that's what I have to do then, I'll do it very willingly and gladly.
Yeah, so that was in reference to whether he's going to be comfortable coming off the bench. Now, you always expect the player to say the right thing. But in terms of Bully Barrett and FIBA, I thought about this. I thought, he was obviously playing with SGA, Brooks, Lou Dort. I think FIBA showed RJ Barrett the value of playing as a team, and achieving success, winning that bronze medal. And I do think now RJ Barrett is going to expect to see more minutes with the bench unit, extended minutes playing with the bench. Obviously, he's versatile. He could play the 2, the 3, the 4, the small ball 4 if needed. So I do think that's going to be a way Barrett's going to see more minutes. And I think he's going to be fine with that. Whether it's closing, more minutes with the bench, whatever it is, I think RJ Barrett is ready to help this team win. The contract situation's already sorted. He looks like a pretty happy man. Looks ready for the season. Also, he's healthy, which is great. So salute to Bully Barrett. Now, Captain America, we heard from Brunson today. Talking about the Villanova gang. Says, he was talking about the possibility.
When we were younger, bro, we all play on the same NBA team. That'd be funny and that'd be cool and everything. But we got a lot of those guys on this team, and we could joke around how these guys will joke about how the culture's changed or whatever. But I know one thing: whenever we're on that court, man, it's all about what we're trying to do to win, and whatever the game is asked of us, we're going to try and do.
Winners. Yep, facts. Like I said, they don't want to make that Villanova thing a distraction. It's all about winning. Those guys get it. Juju Randle sporting the fresh cut. Talked about his agency change, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear what he had to say.
Yeah, it was, I wanted to be closer with RJ. Yeah, now we share an agent.
Yes, sir, Steve.
Yeah. But, no, Aaron, man, Aaron was great. He's been with me for the majority of my career. And, he did a great job, during that time. For me, it was, like I said, I just wanted to be closer to RJ.
Yeah, so he dodged the question there a bit, but obviously the change of agents was a business-related decision. I think Julius Randle wants to maximize his earnings in his next contract, and obviously off-court endorsements, and he's getting with a guy who he was comfortable with before, following his bro over to WME. Nothing biggie, no big deal there. I don't think that affects his standing with the Knicks right now, for this year anyway. I think Randall's a more valuable piece to the New York Knicks than a lot of other teams right now. Unless we trade for that next All-Star, I think Julius Randle is going to be a valuable piece of this New York Knicks team. I expect him to be an All-Star again, health permitting. I expect him to grow as a player in terms of being more of a leader, more supportive of the team. Obviously, controlling his temperament during big games is going to be key. The playoffs, everyone's going to be watching again, to see how he can perform. It's going to be another big year for Julius Randle. He's 28, or coming in 27, turning 28. And I think, he's reaching his prime, the prime of his career. He knows what it takes to help the team win, and he wants to be an all-star again, I think. Yep, Shannon, agree. Yet talking about playing the 4 off the bench with RJ. Yep, I think, his versatility can help this team a lot. Also, looking for RJ Barrett's three-point shooting to be around that 37-38% catch and shoot. That's going to help this team a lot. And here's RJ talking about only knowing his professional career playing with Julius Randle. Those guys look, the chemistry to me is coming out.
I just realized that, I've only played, NBA basketball. I've only known NBA basketball with Julius Randle. That's actually pretty cool. But not just, like you said, been here a while, just kind of seeing the progression of teams, each year. Just excited to be back and with the experience that we now have, the playoff run that we had, just kind of looking to build on more this season and then show and prove, who we are.
Yeah, media day is always obviously about quotes and smiles and all of that, but I think, and I'll talk about it more in this episode tonight, the Knicks now fully doubled down on their chemistry and depth and internal improvement, right, to improve. The DiVincenzo, move was big, but, for the Knicks to get better than last year, right, the chemistry and the consistency is going to be our MO, basically. So, with that said, in competing with the rest of the East, there's going to be that adjustment with other Eastern Conference teams, integrating new pieces and all of that. And never forget, every season has a mind of its own. Last year, the Wizards and the Jazz started out hot. So don't be surprised if you see some wacky standings, early in the season. Right, getting off to a fast start is really important. And I think this team is set up to do that. Here's Brunson on how he believes the squad has improved.
Yeah, he's very excited to come into the season. I mean, this group, we have a bunch of guys who just love to work on their game, have great work ethic, all that stuff. We have guys we have to kick out of the gym. It's not a problem for guys to work on their game. So I think that's a plus for us. And I think we all come back better. We all come back wiser. We understand the task at hand, what we need to do, and it's just getting better every single day. And this is a great group. I mean, we have resilient guys and a lot of tough-minded, hardworking, and great teammates, resilient guys on this team. So going to be more than happy to go in the games with this crew, and I'm excited.
Yeah, so I think that's preaching the same mindset with guys that love to work on their games, improve as a player, guys coming in with that chip, wanting to be better this year, and that the playoff ending, leaving a sour taste, in their mouth. So those are the major takeaways. Now, in terms of the rest of the league, right, James Harden hasn't reported to media day. Donovan Mitchell just gave some telling quotes as well, saying that he's not going to sign an extension, ladies and gentlemen, as I bring that up on screen. So he's not going to sign an extension this summer. I still have the opportunity to sign an extension next summer, Spider said during the team's media day. My primary focus is this. So, it makes no sense for Spider to commit to Cleveland. We know this. So, he's a guy who's carefully thinking about his future as well. And, he wants to see how the squad does this year. The East is a dogfight right now. The East is a beast. Flaming out in the first round last year has got to leave Spider thinking very doubtful over, the team's chances to compete in the East right now. He's not getting any younger, right? If you're Donovan Mitchell, you've got now two clear teams ahead of you with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Celtics. So that's going to be a storyline all year. I still feel like Donovan Mitchell is the most attainable star right now as of today. Things can change. Joel Embiid could request a trade or, Philly flame out this year, but Zach LaVine is another possibility. But I think with Donovan Mitchell, all the dots are there to connect. He's from New York. He was expecting to play in his hometown. He thought the deal was done. His father's with the Mets organization. The comfortability he's talked about one day playing in his hometown or close to home and what that would be like, close to family. So, yeah, man, I'm not surprised. I think that's another key storyline this year to watch. Obviously, Cleveland are a rival of the Knicks in the East. I still feel like we're a tier above Cleveland right now. But I have given them the 5th spot in the rankings, and I do think that they've brought consistency back, and they've added a little bit of wing depth with Strauss and George's Niang. So, Cleveland is still going to be a strong regular season team. The growth of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen is going to be a huge factor. But yeah, those were Donovan Mitchell's quotes from Media Day. What do you guys read into that? Are you guys still open to a Spider Mitchell acquisition? The thing with the Knicks roster right now, how it's situated, is there's that clear slot at the 3-4 for the Knicks to make that big move or upgrade, and at the center spot if it's Joel Embiid. So a positive for this year is to see the improvement of Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and it's another year to make an assessment. Are these guys the long-term solution for Leon Rose's eyes? So with that said, the focus on those guys is going to be ability to score and defend like they have been. But Quentin Grimes, his bread and butter was defending last year. Can he be more consistent scoring the ball? That's going to be huge. Consistency shooting the 3. With RJ Barrett, the same thing, right? The way Brunson and Randall play, we need guys that can stretch the floor and open up the lane for them. That was our Achilles in the playoffs, We didn't have a lot of shot makers. So that's what I'm looking for this season for Grimes and for Barrett, right? We know they can have their ups and downs defensively, but offensively, can they be consistent? Hit shots at a good clip. And I think that's going to be big for us, and our success this year. Obviously, we talked about the Jrue Holiday acquisition and the Knicks poking around. I'm happy that the Knicks didn't make that move because it would be a very, very short-term, short-sighted move. Jrue Holiday's contract is coming to an end after this year with a player option, and the team that's acquiring him would need to be able to extend him at a huge number as well. So have no fear, Knicks fans. There's going to be more options open up. Like I said, the Spiders, the Embiids, the Levines. I still think Paul George could be a short-term solution at some point if the Clippers don't do well. Every year there's a players that become available. So you don't have to worry that the Knicks missed out on a Jrue Holiday because he's aging and there's going to be more guys become available. And today, James Harden being a no-show just further adds fuel to that fire in Philly, that ammunition. Got a new coach coming in. Lack of consistency. All of the things that the Knicks are bringing back is going to be huge. We heard from Joel Embiid today as well. He kind of tried to put on a happy face, joked about the off-season being fun, but you got to think, right, how he's feeling inside right now. He's getting older, and those knees are not getting any younger as well, not getting any stronger with that situation. So with the latest moves in the East, he's really got to be thinking about what is it going to take, for Philly to finally break that drought, finally the process to win that chip. And I think it's looking less likely by the day. The process is close to being blown up right now, and I think Philly probably need to start all over again. The Knicks are holding on to all those assets. That's another big key for what Leon Rose is doing. 11 first-round draft picks, potentially, with 7 of ours and four other teams. Tradable contracts, movable young players as well. The Knicks are still in the race for that next superstar. I think when they want to go all in, and I think simply Jrue Holiday just wasn't that guy that they wanted to go all in. You know, we could have beaten that package. You know, we could have put 3 first-round picks on the table if we wanted. So, you know, I don't think we were beaten on purpose. I think the Knicks didn't want to go that far, you know, for Jrue Holiday. But, you know, for this year, it's all about doubling down on our success, our chemistry, consistency, and getting off to a fast start. You know, getting back to the playoffs, being consistent again, not falling off like 2 years ago. Get back to the playoffs, get back to the second round at least, or get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Will be big. Like Buzz Abita also talked about, 50 plus wins. I think that's very achievable. I'm putting this season at 48. That's the number I'm picking. That's my prediction officially now. It's on the books. 48 wins for the New York Knicks. And I think we'll get the 3rd or the 4th seed. So I'm still feeling good about this season. It's going to be a fun season. There's going to be some moves. There's going to be some things happen. But we've got a core that we haven't had in a long time with, winning players that, know what it takes to win, in Brunson, and Randall, these guys helping us in the regular season. Yeah, and I think the playoffs is where it's all at. I think if we get a significant uptick in Barrett's 3-point shooting and Quentin Grimes' consistency, growth offensively, I think we're a pretty solid starting 5. Very well-rounded, balanced, defensively, offensively. And of course, we know our bench is strong. There's still that question mark over the backup 4 spot. I think we'll learn a lot in preseason. I think that's what Tibbs is gonna look at. He's probably gonna play Roby some a little bit. He'll play Sims. He'll play Nathan Knight, and we'll see. If Dylan Windler is healthy, he's 6'7", so he might play some backup 4 or at the 3, and push Josh Hart at the 4 for rebounding. But on that note, I think my keys to to training camp is to look at preseason, look at our rotation, see who Tibbs starts with. But I want to get a closer look at Windler and Nathan Knight, because those guys are experienced, and I think they can bring something to this squad. They can bring defense and offense and some shooting to this squad. Guys like Archie Diacono, Daquan Jeffries, Fournier, they'll be situational. They're not going to see any time. I think Deuce McBride, Sims might have a chance in back-to-backs. Those guys are still going to be more on the situational side also. But like I talked about in my 6 major reasons why the Knicks will succeed this year, I like our center rotation. Look at that. Mitchell Robinson, 28 minutes. Hart, 20 minutes. That's a quality big man rotation right there as well. Hart could probably step in at the 4 as well if needed for some spot minutes. We got Jericho Sims and we got Deuce McBride on cheaper contracts, 1-year deals. So that's big. So key takeaways is Randall's ready to go. He's healthy. He mentioned about changing agents, but he ducked the question. Dante DiVincenzo had options. He could have signed with some teams that aren't as strong as the Knicks for the same money. But I think he's ready for his role, whether it's big minutes off the bench or it's closing, starting if needed, if there's an injury. He's not worried about the Villanova stuff. It's just about winning. Tom Thibodeau preached internal improvement. That's what we're going to need to counter the strength of the top dogs in the East. It's a brand new season, says Tom Thibodeau. Start from the beginning. We've got to pick up those winning habits again, and play as a team. And with the Fournier situation, he just doubled down on why he made the move. He adjusted to what was working, referenced the record when Fournier was taken out and why it was successful. Emmanuel quickly, not focused on the extension. He's ready to just play, let his agent deal with it. But I think IQ will get extended before the season begins. I think the hold-up, everyone wants to know what the hold-up is. I think the Knicks have until the first day of the regular season begins. So we have all of training camp and we have all of pre-season to just, continue the dialogue with his agent, look at how he looks in the pre-season. And I think that extension will get done any day now. He's going to miss Obi. He's happy for Obi's fresh start. Now, getting on to around the league, let's hear from Masai Ujiri and his thoughts on the Knicks lawsuit, right? And what's the latest with that?
Maybe I'll start with the Knicks lawsuit. I think there has been one time in the history of the NBA that a team has sued a team. One time. Go figure.
That's it. That's all he said, man. He looks like a guy who obviously he's had a rough off season. Masai Ujiri. I'll talk about his quotes about the team playing selfishly, and he sort of insinuated that Pascal Siakam's play needs to pick up as well. So he's got turmoil in Toronto, but he's got this thing to deal with as well. There's not much more he can say, but the fact that he looks salty, and what he said doesn't really talk about the facts at all. It's just ducking the facts, right? Yeah, so one team suing one team, and it's not a common thing, doesn't mean that there's no legs to it, basically. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that, guys? The other interesting thing, as I mentioned, with Masai Ujiri is, right, other front offices are voicing frustration, executives, scouts, that Toronto don't know what they're doing right now. I think they're a mess, and that's why they're not in my top 10 power rankings, because I think something's set to change. That they're going to implode. They're going to trade either OG or Siakam at some point. I think they got weaker at the point guard spot with Dennis Schroeder coming in and replacing Fred VanVleet. So that's not good for them at all. There's a lot of pressure on him right now. I'm hearing frustration from the Raptors fans also. So, yeah, the Raptors I'm not sweating right now. I think they've got work to do. They don't have the chemistry, the cohesion right now. One of their best players and major pieces doesn't know if he's staying or he's going. He's getting criticized. I think Ujiri's kind of losing the plot a little bit. And that's not just my opinion. That's been kind of echoed with what's going on around this off-season around the league right now. So that's good for us. Yeah, more, upheaval in the East. Another reason why the Knicks are set to finish in the top 4, I think, and be a stable franchise, I think. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, again, we haven't had stability for quite a while. So we haven't lost any of our assets. We didn't get Jrue Holiday, we didn't get Dame, and we haven't made another big deal yet. But that doesn't mean we've lost our currency. We've still got all the picks. We've still got tradable guys. if we need to make that next move. Everyone's kind of wondering, when is it going to happen? I think Leon Rose is calculated. You know, he's got his guys, and I think, you know, he knows a little bit more than what we do, obviously a lot more, with the talk around the league, you know, Embiid, through his agent, possibly through executive scouts, Donovan Mitchell, he would know his intentions. I think Leon just wants to stay flexible right now. Buzzer says pick up Taj at the Vets Min. Taj re-signed, man, unfortunately, with Washington, fam. So I was feeling that with you, but yeah, Taj has stayed in Washington. He's re-signed for the minimum, but could be a trade candidate maybe in the future as well. But salute Jerry, salute to the best chat in the biz, Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing, smashing that like button. CT here, ready for a big season on Knicks Buzz, breaking down media day, talking about what I want to see from guys in training camp. Yeah, and then the Knicks just focus on getting back to the playoffs, get 45 plus wins, get more experience for our younger guys, improve their stock, whatever way it possible, get the shooting up. I think the thing is, our defense is going to be solid, and I talked about it in my 6 major reasons the Knicks will be good. We've got perimeter defenders. We've got dogs now. We've got Brunson. We've got Grimes. We've got Hart. We've got Randall. We've got a bunch of dogs that will get after it. We'll get chippy. Mitchell Robinson, obviously, as well. Huge anchor defensively. So defensively, I'm not worried with a Tom Thibodeau team. Offensively, if we can, like I said, space the floor well, bring that consistency, rely less on Jalen Brunson, rely less on Julius Randle, share the load. And yeah, if Barrett and Grimes can shoot the 3 ball consistently, that's going to open up a lot. But I've got a lot of faith in Quickly and DiVincenzo. Space in the floor. Fam, Jet Life in the building. Salute. Yeah, 48 wins is my official prediction. I'm happy to be wrong and it be 49, 50, 52. Let's see. Trades can happen. The Knicks do like to make that upgrade at the deadline. We did it with Derrick Rose. We did it with the Cam Reddish trade, and we did it with Josh Hart. So if you guys are previewing what's to come, like me, and what this front office likes to do, I think we like to get to a good seed by the trade deadline, position ourselves for a good finish to the year, and make a trade. Make a trade at the deadline for an improvement. I think Evan Fournier is going to be a sexy contract come February. I think if we can just hold on, you know, and Fournier sit tight and not be a discontent, and I think Fournier will be a good trade candidate by the deadline with $18 million expiring right now. Obviously, the other news is Reggie Bullock is now an unrestricted free agent. He was waived by the Dallas Mavericks, or the team that he was on. So a contender is going to pick up Reggie Bullock. Would you guys be open to seeing Reggie Bullock return? I think there could be, you know, a possibility with Tibbs, the connection there with Randall. He would slot in on the bench. You know, could slide in at the 3, you know, defend the wings and ease some pressure off DiVincenzo and Hart. I'm not ruling that out. I think Reggie Bullock has connections to the organization, so let's see. Obviously, he's not the backup 4 that we need, but it would push Josh Hart to probably play more of that backup 4 long term. Jet Life says, why don't they sign Green? Yeah, I think a lot of thoughts have gone into, you know, moves. I think we have a pretty tight rotation right now. But yeah, this season, Leon Rose is kind of feeling a little bit more pressure to make a splash. So I think he's going to be open throughout the season to make that trade. Like I said, man, he made that trade in December for Derrick Rose early, and he made Cam Reddish and Josh Hart trades as well. So yeah, he's open to it. But obviously, you know, we're waiting on these next dominoes now, ladies and gents. We got James Harden, a no-show, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We got the Sixers, you know, and Joel Embiid, who is in a weaker situation now with Philly. They've lost Shake Milton. They lost Georges Niang as well. Tobias Harris could be a trade candidate as well on that expiring deal, fam. So, yeah, look out for the next big news. Could be an IQ extension. The Knicks playing on October 9. So what do we got planned? We've got some guests lined up. Hopefully one this week and then one next week. We'll be talking to someone from MSG Networks. We'll be talking to our favorite guests that will return from last season. We'll get EJ on to preview the season. Yeah, and as we get more news during training camp and you know, and gear up for the first preseason game against one of the best teams in the East, man, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a dogfight. But as I said, I think there's chinks in every team's armor. I think the Knicks have their depth. They have consistency. The Bucks are top heavy. The Celtics have a great rounded squad, but a little light at the big man spot with injury concerns. Jrue Holiday alleviates their point guard woes. I think he'll replace Brogdon and Smart. Brown, Tatum coming in, Derek White. But yeah, they lost Robert Williams, and they've got Al Horford, 37 years old. Still a very useful player, but they're a little light. I think the Knicks center tandem can definitely push Horford around a bit, and it's going to be fascinating early. We get to see Boston twice alone in the preseason, and then opening night. It goes down, ladies and gentlemen, as we pull up what October and November look like. So we got Boston, first game of the preseason at home, Minnesota, then Boston away, and then Washington back at home. And then the first game of the season, Boston at home again, ladies and gentlemen. So get ready to see a lot of green 3 times, up until opening night. So we're going to get a good look at this Boston Celtics squad, and a feel for how we stack up. A lot of people want to label a team on paper, the best team or the team to beat. Whatever they are, they're a good team. But like I said, the games need to be played. Every team has chinks in their armor. And I think, it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a season, there's always going to be some injuries, hit some teams, and we see. But I like our chances definitely in the front court against Boston. Kristaps Porzingis, we might not even see him much in the preseason. He's got plantar fascia, which is, no joke. So, yeah, he's got his own concerns, trying to stay healthy, and all of that. But the thing where, the Knicks have been, another area have been winners is the fall of Philly and Miami. I think the Knicks are right there or better than both of those clubs, kind of in that same tier, but more depth. Obviously, the success we have will depend largely on Brunson and Randall and Barrett. I think, our big three, mid three, big three, however you want to call them. They did the job last year, got us 47 wins, and I think they're going to be a huge factor in the Knicks getting the 3rd or 4th seed again. Now Miami, lost Vincent, lost Strauss, Lowry's older, Oladipo's older. There's that urgency. They'll get Tyler Hero back. That's going to be a nice battle. The Knicks and the Heat once again. I give the edge to the Knicks. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers, they'll be out for blood. Added some wing depth. A good addition, Max Strauss is. He's going to solidify their wing. He can shoot, he can defend. So, Cleveland's going to be thereabouts. They're not going anywhere. Where they might crumble is the playoffs again. But Embiid's health, that's going to be a huge watch. And James Harden, man. Also, the other takeaways from Tibbs this season, right? Previewing what I want to see from him. Hopefully more offensive sets. That's what I want to see. Not everything can just be reading and reacting. After timeout plays, introduce a couple of sets to get Randall running downhill, for example. Get Mitchell Robinson running, rim running, lob threat. Get Josh Hart cutting baseline, one of the best cutters in the league. Run Quentin Grimes off a screen, get him an open 3-point look. Get Jalen Brunson off a double screen, run downhill to get a foul or a layup. Just simple stuff, man. Run some sets. And I think we got a good squad if we're coached well. Pull the starters in a blowout. This year is going to be that year where we're going to need the best players on our roster. Let's keep it a buck. We're going to need Brunson healthy. We're going to need Randall healthy. And I think keeping those guys to like 30, 35 minutes max, I've got them, is big. 35 minutes, no more than that. We got 8 back-to-backs in the first 2 months. So that's going to be something to look for as well. The other things that I know Tibbs is going to do, he's going to play the guys that are playing well. I think whoever is playing well is going to finish the game. So I've got more confidence that Tibbs will pull guys if they're not performing. Outside of Randall and Brunson, obviously those guys are going to get the leeway. They're going to get that longer leash. That's just the way that it goes. But in terms of Grimes, Barrett, Mitch, Hart, DiVincenzo quickly, I think either of those guys could close games out. Which is the way that it's going. Randall's healthy. I'm happy to hear that. Happy to see that. We're going to need him. Barrett's open to playing any role. Off the bench, more, closing, whatever the team needs. Buying in is Bully Barrett. Dante also is going to be that winner for us. He's going to buy in. And a big year for Emmanuel Quickly. The extension is going to tell us a lot about the team's priorities right now. Question from the chat, Jet Life for Life, salute. Let's rock out this season, man. CT, what do you think we will trade Spider by the deadline, contingent on Cavs' record? I think it's a possibility for sure. I think the quotes from Spider, as I'll bring it up on screen also from the chat. But yeah, Spider's quotes today. I still have the opportunity to sign the extension next year, and then my primary focus is this. So I salute Spider for going out there and just being transparent, because it actually removes distraction. It creates a little bit of doubt, obviously, with the organization, but the fact that he's gone out and said this now, it's on record. We don't have to worry about thinking about a Spider extension for another 12 months. So, as you said, Jet Life, all eyes are going to be on how the Cavs look. And I expect them to look pretty good. I expect them to win games. But I think a trade at the deadline is going to be less likely, I think, than next summer. So I'll put maybe 20% chance, 25% chance. If the Cavs are looking real bad, they might look at it more. But I think there's a 25% chance he gets traded at the deadline, maybe more 50% chance next summer. A 75% chance next summer, I think. Dependent on how they do in the playoffs, I think is going to be another key factor, fam. But yeah, in Leon Rose's strategy, not making like moves for Jrue Holiday and those kind of guys, he knows through channels and various outlets that guys like Donovan Mitchell will be an unrestricted free agent or will be available by trade. Joel Embiid at some point, his future will be in doubt as well, you know. And I think Leon Rose wants to keep all of his assets for those guys. I think those guys that are more attainable. I think they're more of a difference maker. Sorry, they're attainable, but they're more of a difference maker. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a key name. Zach LaVine, I think, you know, his agent doesn't want him with the Knicks. We don't know what he thinks about coming to the Knicks, but quite frankly, the Chicago Bulls won't care, right? If the Chicago Bulls are doing bad, you know, they'll be in a situation where they'll be looking to get a haul for Zach LaVine, and they will get a haul. I think Zach LaVine will fetch them at least, you know, 2 unprotected picks and swaps, 3 first-round picks possibly. We'll see. So that's another name. The Minnesota Timberwolves under a lot of pressure this year as well. The West is loaded, as always. Karl Anthony Towns is still a name that Leon Rose, you know, would monitor as well. I don't think he's high on the priority as a Donovan and an Embiid, but you know, if he's available, I think the Knicks will kick the tires on that. And outside of that, I think I mentioned this earlier, but I don't think the Paul George thing is dead either. I don't hear anybody talking about it, but the Clippers will be desperate if they don't look good in the West. If they're in the 7th seed or the 6th seed, you know, and things aren't going well, I think they could look to cash in on Paul George as well. I'm just keeping it a buck, especially if they can get James Harden. So I wouldn't, given the fact that we know 100% that the Knicks and the Clippers have had dialogue about Paul George in the past, the Knicks backed away because of the asking price. But if the asking price goes down and the Clippers look to sell Paul George, that could be a name that the Knicks still have a chance to get. You know, he fits the wing spot. He can also play backup 4 minutes as well. So that's another name to watch this season. Yeah, and you know, outside of that, I think there's not going to be a whole lot of trade rumblings in the first part of the season because I think a lot of these teams are going to be in the mix. I think in the East, in the West, it might look different with the T-Wolves and the Clippers. But in terms of the East, like I can't see Cleveland selling Spider halfway through the season. Embiid and Philly, it's going to require a trade request from Embiid. I think Daryl Morey's not going to trade, his prized asset unless Embiid gets forceful with it. He's just got to come out and say, "Get me out of here. I'm done." I think then the whole league is going to open up shop. Right. I think you're going to see Oklahoma Thunder, the Utah Jazz. You're going to see everybody, put their best package on the table. But yeah, man, the thing is that the takeaways from Milwaukee and Boston is that they've gone all in. They've literally strapped all of their assets. They're strapped right now. They've got no more picks to move in. They're done making any moves. So it's win at all costs for those things. And for the New York Knicks, it's not win at all costs right now. We still have one or two more all-in moves that we can make. Guys around the league, Brian Windhorst, NBA insider for ESPN, he's talked about recently. He believes that the Knicks can put together two packages for 2 stars if it's the right transaction, and I think he's right. I think the Knicks have all their picks. They have the contracts to move as well. And I think if I'm a betting man and there's a betting market of guys that eventually end up on the New York Knicks, I think you'd have to have Spider Mitchell at the favorite, and I think Joel Embiid would be second or third. There's opportunities for, like I said, Levine or Cat possibly, but I think if there's betting odds on which stars the New York Knicks end up with, I think those are the guys that Leon Rose has closer ties to. He knows kind of their situation. Obviously Joel Embiid used to be managed by Leon, used to be with CAA. There's got to be a reason that Leon Rose is holding on to all these assets like a cheapskate right now, basically, and that's what he's doing. He's being a cheapskate with all of these assets. You could say, yeah, he's waiting for the right dude. Absolutely, he's waiting for the right guys to go all in. But the guys that want to be here, is going to help. Guys that force the move. Now, if Spider becomes available with 1 year to run on his contract, other teams are going to be very apprehensive, giving up major assets, knowing that he might want to be a New York Knick. So the Knicks have a little bit of leverage with a Donovan Mitchell. If he was to suggest that, Knicks were top of his list, I think that's going to scare off some teams. Why? Because he's an unrestricted free agent in 2 years. That's major. Why were Boston so confident going in for Jrue Holiday? Because they know, through his agent, he would sign an extension with them. So, see, Cleveland could go all in for Donovan Mitchell because he had 3 years to run. But it's not going to be the same story. If Donovan Mitchell has 1 or 2 years to run, I don't know how many teams are going to give up multiple first-round picks. So the Knicks have that on their side. With Joel Embiid, it's going to have to be more forceful because the rest of the league is just going to go. He's not going to care. They're just going to go in. So yeah, those are the two guys, fam. Buzzer. In terms of right now, as of today, the two big fish are Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid. Now the Knicks kicked the tires with Harden. They could have acquired him if they wanted. They didn't go all in. That tells you what they're thinking. Damian Lillard became available. They didn't go all in. That tells you what they're thinking. Jrue Holiday was available. They didn't go all in. So if you eliminate all of those guys, the remaining guys are Joel Embiid and Donovan Mitchell. There's no other big stars on the horizon that are available soon. Outside of maybe OG Anunoby is another one. But best believe that the New York Knicks and Toronto Raptors are not trading. They're not trading with each other right now. For reasons we talked about, man. We know how petty
maybe I'll start with the Knicks
this guy is.
lawsuit. I think
This guy's super petty.
there has been one time in the history of the NBA that a team has sued a team. One time. Go figure.
Yeah, so, man, as much as the Knicks wanted OG Anunoby, we're not getting him unless he's traded to another team, and then he becomes available after that. So that's why I haven't mentioned OG at all. So, yeah, the teams are limited that we can trade with for that next star. And I think Cat and Levine, if they're available for the right price, I think the Knicks would look into them. They're not going to cost as much as a Joel Embiid will, so the Knicks still might be interested in those guys. But in terms of guys that they would save all of their assets for, it would be Spider and it would be Embiid. And we know factually the Knicks were willing to part with R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and draft picks to acquire Donovan Mitchell. I can't imagine anything would change in 2 years after that. I think if Donovan Mitchell was available, I think they would offer that package again or something similar. But yeah, we'll see. Jet Life also says, yeah, I agree. Philly not trading Embiid to the Knicks, same division, and there's going to be too much competition. Yep, that's why he's not the number one star in the betting odds. That's likely that the Knicks can get. I think he's going to have to get forceful with it. With that said, yeah, his contract situation's not the same as Donovan Mitchell. See, Donovan Mitchell, there's a reason he's not signing this extension. Is because he knows he's going to become an unrestricted free agent. And I think, he kind of felt that he's going to have that opportunity eventually, and he feels like he missed out on that opportunity with Utah getting traded to Cleveland. He's played his entire career in Utah and in Cleveland. They're not the markets that a star player like Donovan Mitchell would be at the top of his list. So the beautiful thing about unrestricted free agency is players really get to choose where they want to go, and that's what you're seeing now with James Harden. That's what you saw with Jrue Holiday, and that's what you saw with Dame Lillard. Now, Dame Lillard got traded to a team that wasn't his number one preference, but it was still on his list. So buyer beware with Donovan Mitchell, right? Like I said, he might not get to unrestricted free agency, but a team is not going to give all their assets up if the New York Knicks are at the top of his list. I think, with his impending unrestricted free agency. So yeah, I don't think there's any need to kind of get worried or panic, right? We're not arming up yet like these other teams are, but we're not losing our assets either. We've still got them, right? We've still got them, and we're able to spend, when the player we need becomes available. Damian Lillard never made sense, never fit. Jrue Holiday was a little bit more of a fit, but too expensive, and the contract situation wasn't ideal. With that said, so and when a star does become available like Donovan Mitchell with his age that's suitable, the Knicks have proven that they're willing to go more in, offering Barrett, offering Quickley, and offering draft picks to Utah. Ultimately, Cleveland, pipped our offer, but the Knicks were able to go further in for a guy like him. Now, if Joel Embiid is available and requests a trade, along with all other teams, the New York Knicks will put their best package down, and we'll put all of the draft picks on the table, that can be possibly traded. I think he's the guy that they would do that for. So that's that star situation right now. It's a holding pattern right now in the East, but it's the New York Knicks depth versus the rest of the East's star power right now. But we're right there. We're on that second tier, ready to move up. I think internal improvement is going to be massive for us, fam. As we get ready to wrap this thing up, like I said, guests coming up later this week, next week. The streets are buzzing, smashing that like button, ready for a big season ahead. CT in the chat here. It's Knicks pre-season. We're already here. The number one thing about pre-season is it's only pre-season. Right now we're establishing chemistry, building habits, and building cohesion. and are figuring out the rotation right now. But everyone's healthy, which is great. Tibbs, a lot of pressure on him this year. Let's see how he deals with it. Let's see how he handles this thing. One other thing I didn't mention is we had news. Mark Jackson, the one and only Mark Jackson, looks like he's going to take on a role with MSG Networks. So that's big news. Filling in on the away games when Clyde doesn't travel with the team. So huge news. What do you guys think? Love hearing from Mark Jackson. Looks like MSG going to be beefing up their broadcast team as well, with Mike Breen, Alan Hahn, Bill Pedo, Monica McNutt, Wally, and Rebecca. Looking like adding Mark Jackson, maybe Jeff Van Gundy as well. So that's something to watch. Man, preseason's going to be competitive. It's going to be great. We got lots of tough games against Mini and 2 against Boston. And we'll know a lot about the squad. So that's my initial thoughts, man. Day 1, media day. Day 1 training camp coming up. And we'll talk about it. Let's talk soon. Peace. Have a great night, everyone. Salute, salute, salute.